Matthew in San Diego. Thanks for waiting.
Hey, Tracy, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Well played, sir. I will sit quietly in the corner.
How you doing, Matt?
I'm all right.
That's what I should have said.
right.
Matt's here too, you know.
Yeah. So, Tracy, I wanted to go back to, I had something else I wanted to talk about, but I wanted to bring up sleep paralysis because maybe 2 or 3 months ago, I had the same situation happen to me. And growing up as a Catholic, I'm not a Catholic anymore, but I guess I'm a humanist, secularist. Anyway, I had the same situation where I just couldn't move in my sleep.
Yeah.
And so for that minute or so, I thought, oh, Jesus Christ, I think I'm a Catholic again.
Oh.
Of course, I
And you immediately
and
felt guilty for blasphemy.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Well, except you're not really asleep. I mean, that's the thing that's weird about it is your brain is awake, right? I mean, you're alert. You know you're in bed, and you know you can't move, and you know where you are and what's going on. And that's what's so freaky about the hallucinations, right? Like,
exactly. Yeah, I was freaking out because I didn't hear a lawnmower or anything. I heard some sort of whooshing noise or some shit like that. Anyways, I tried to move over, and I basically did the same thing to you because I was right by a window as well. Yeah. And I tried to look over, and I said, well, what the hell is that noise? And I couldn't move. Right. So I went on, and then I finally was able to move. How long did yours last anyways? I wanted to ask you.
Usually once I quit struggling and just relax for a minute and let the brain chemicals just sort of kick in, it usually only takes a few minutes before I can get myself up and around again. But I have to get up. It's like otherwise I just fall right back into it.
Right. So this has happened to you before?
Oh, yeah, since I was a kid. And my mother had it as well.
It's a frustrating area of things to discuss too, because the second somebody tells me, last night I was in bed and, I woke up and this happened, or I was about to go to sleep and this happened, I'm going to dismiss everything they say. And there are people who are going to, the second they say, look, you're closed-minded, you're dismissing everything they say. No. I'm not saying that I think they are necessarily wrong or delusional. I'm saying that because of the context here, because of the information, there is nothing that would serve to meet the burden of proof. And so it's not that I'm saying they're wrong, it's saying I am forever blocked from being capable of agreeing with whatever conclusion you're about to make because you're in a situation where no conclusion can reasonably be reached.
And I think that's important to point out that with sleep paralysis, it's not that the brain chemistry is, it's all the same brain chemistry that happens to everybody when they sleep. It's just happening out of order, right? I mean, this is why most people don't sleepwalk, right? Yeah, people that sleepwalk, dangerous things can happen to them.
Yeah, and that's a whole other story for me.
Well, but I mean, the point with sleep paralysis, what happens is the chemistry that keeps you from being able to get up and act out your dreams, the reason that your body doesn't get up and do things that you think you're doing in that simulation that your mind is creating every night is because there's chemicals that keep you paralyzed and keep you from getting up and hurting yourself. And people that, when it malfunctions for sleepwalkers, they're actually getting up and doing these things. But with me, I wake up and then I still have the chemistry that is keeping me paralyzed, thinking, my body is basically hasn't caught up with my brain waking up. And also, all the chemistry that keeps you dreaming is going on in my head as well. So I'm awake and alert. I'm subject to hallucinations because I'm still dreaming and I can't move. And it's a very disconcerting state for some people. Some people get really terrified by it.
Yeah, I know. As soon as I woke up, I did maybe like 5 minutes later, I just jumped onto my computer and I typed in, demon in my sleep. And then the first thing that popped up was sleep paralysis. And that's the first thing that, And
that's a great world where that's the first search engine
result. It is.
Well, after that incident, it just made me delve deeper into my atheism, if you will, because it's so simple to look up. Just look up anything to rationalize your issues or whatever, and and I agree with you, Tracy. It boggles my mind that some people would just sit there and take it for what it is. My friend, who's a Catholic, and listen, I'm going to try to tie it into my point here. He's a Catholic, and I was asking him, what convinces you to be a Catholic? And he says, well, I was on this, well, I don't want to say it just in case he listens to us. But anyways, he says, I had God's voice in my head, and he told me, that this is what I was supposed to do. So anyways, and that was, and so I kept talking to him, and I said, well, he eventually came to the conclusion that, well, God made everything for us to discover. And I thought, well, is that the same as presuppositionalism? Because I'm just fairly new to atheism, and I don't know much about it. So
it's not the same as presuppositionalism in the strict sense. Is he perhaps presupposing God and then proceeding? Possibly, but it's not. Yeah. It's not identical to the kind of apologetic that has become labeled presuppositionalism.
Okay, well, can you define presuppositionalism for me then? Because I try to look it up, and it's confusing for me.
Yeah, essentially, presuppositionalists presuppose the existence of God, and then they attempt to justify this by saying that this presupposition is necessary because that is the only worldview that can explain X, Y, and Z. And at no point have they demonstrated that their worldview can in fact explain X, Y, and Z, and at no point have they actually demonstrated that no other worldview could explain X, Y, and Z, because that would require them to know and understand, test, and debunk every other possible worldview. Which, by the way, worldview is a word we should probably get rid of. My wife's been poking at me that this may be a confusing and useless term.
But also, even if you thought that, like let's say that I thought, this origin must be like this in order to explain these things. I don't see how it could be otherwise, yes. Right? Why wouldn't you still then say, I need to investigate this and verify it?
Because
why wouldn't you go there?
I agree with you, except that when the presuppositionalists are doing it, they're doing it with respect to philosophical issues that are generally viewed as unsolvable. That there's no current solution for the problem of hard solipsism. There is no current justification for the logical absolutes and stuff. And it may be the case that we are forever blocked from finding an explanation. So this gives them, because there's this realm that nobody else, that other people are acknowledging, we can't peer into this. We can't confirm supernatural causation. If they go ahead and assert it, now they have an unfalsifiable proposition that appeals to some people as an explanation while denigrating everybody else. And all the intellectually honest people are saying, yeah, my worldview can't account for this.
It just seems, though, that your own curiosity to confirm that what you're thinking is correct is actually correct would kick in enough to make you want to go and seek verification. I mean,
they'd love to.
Right.
But you can't. Kind of like your sleep paralysis thing. You're not going to be able to investigate this any further to figure out which one's the correct answer.
But that makes any assumptions futile.
Yes. But the presuppositionalists would look at your sleep paralysis thing and say, I'm forever blocked from my naturalistic epistemological standpoint of confirming what the explanation is. But if I presuppose that there is a God and that this God cares about me and blah, 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 then this is the conclusion I can reach.
The problem, though, is that if I presuppose there really was a lawnmower and I go over to my neighbors the next day and tell them, man, you're a jerk to be mowing your lawn and having your kids run around at 3:40 in the morning, what were you thinking? I mean, I'm going to be sounding like a nut.
Yes.
Right. So presuppositionalism is basically the idea that what we believe in is true and everybody else's ideas are wrong?
Yes.
Okay. So
without actually having to prove it.
At some level, yes, that is exactly what it is.
Okay. So what is this idea that God made everything for us to discover? I mean, how do you even dispute an idea like that?
So the first thing is, why on earth does he believe that that's the case? I mean, you don't get just to claim that that's the case. First of all, if God made everything for us to discover, then wouldn't it follow that we would have to discover that God made everything for us to discover? And if that's the case, then how did he discover this?
Yeah, okay. Because we were talking about, I guess we were watching Interstellar, and we just finished watching the movie, and I was just amazed by, what the boundary of man can discover. And so I said to him, well, the world is so, the universe is so vast, you think something like an ideal of God could create all this? And he goes, well, God made everything for us to discover, so that's that.
Well, I guess my thing would be, what would be the difference between a universe in which we exist to discover everything and a universe in which everything is there and we're just out discovering? Like, how would you differentiate between those two universes?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest with
I
you.
don't know either.
The whole situation, I try to have a rational conversation with him, but we're just a bunch of 22-year-old kids.
The answer that your friend is giving you is one of a common variety of non-answers that are conversation stoppers. And this is something that religions have infused into people's minds as protection mechanisms.
And that's exactly why I left the Catholic Church.
The Catholics love mystery more than any religion I've ever seen. I've talked about this before. I grew up Southern Baptist, and I had some Catholic relatives. I've been to Catholic funerals and Catholic Mass and other stuff. I went to a Catholic funeral once where the word mystery, I swear, had to have been said 100 times. As they're reading through the great mystery of the universe and God's mystery in mysterious ways as he creates a mystery for us to unfold the mystery of his mysterious mysteriousness. I mean, that's what it felt like as I sat there, and I was just like,
What is this?
hey, Scooby-Doo, where the hell are you when we need you?
Well, at least you didn't have to sit through 70 Hail Marys.
Who wrote the story about the puddle, the conscious puddle?
Oh, Douglas Adams.
Yeah, you might, if you haven't seen it already, Douglas Adams has this little analogy of a puddle that becomes conscious in a hole in the ground.
No, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah,
What
look
is
it up. Look up Douglas Adams and like the puddle. I don't know.
It's actually, if you go to Iron Chariot,
Okay.
it's there under argument from design. The nuts and bolts of it is that this puddle becomes awake and takes a look at its surroundings, and it's like, wow, it's so, it's miraculous that I fit this hole that I'm in so perfectly well. And it goes on from there.
Okay. Well, I'll look that up. And, thank you guys so much for everything. You guys have made a big impact on my life, and I appreciate you taking my call.
Well, good.
Thank you.
For
Thanks for
calling.
calling.